Hello, and welcome to Outlook Video, your nationally recognized, award-winning LGBTQ TV monthly news magazine. I'm Roberta Gonzalez-Gregg. Outlook Video, pre-pandemic COVID-19 times, was broadcast to you via the Create TV studios in San Jose. Though we are now entering an upgraded COVID-19 safety tier, we are continue to safely bring you broadcasts via Zoom. We sincerely hope that you, your family, friends, and loved ones are staying safe and well. And it is with great pleasure that I have the privilege to welcome Outlook Video directly from San Carlos, that city of good living, the first open lesbian mayor of that city, the Honorable Mayor Laura Parmer-Lohan. Welcome, Mayor Parmer-Lohan.
Thank you. Thank you for having me today, Roberta, and thank you to Outlook Video.
You betcha. It's great. It's really, as a resident of San Carlos and as in a community, LGBT community member, it is such an honor. I'm so proud that you are represent our community in San Carlos, in this great city of good living. Thank you so very much for the courage and for the work that you're doing for our community and for our local LGBT community as well. So thank you.
Well, thank you. It's an honor and a privilege to serve. I feel very lucky to be able to be in this position.
Hey, all righty. This is even more importance to our community with the recent observance of National Coming Out Day. Now, you and myself were in, as well as a great many others, were in attendance and watched an interesting panel of 4 discussing that, the multifaceted queries of the community in that coming out process via the San Mateo Pride Center. And that was extremely, we were just chatting it up about that. That was extremely interesting and very informative. As a mayor of San Carlos, how does this resonate with you?
Yeah, well, thank you for asking. So for me, one of the things I noted from the previous council and before I got elected was that there was a welcoming proclamation or resolution that was adopted by the previous council. However, I didn't actually see any steps taken to codify that with action. And that wasn't lost on me. When I ran for office, it was with the idea that I wanted to ensure that everyone had an opportunity to be heard in the community and that the office be respected. And, you know, I felt that my job in service to the community was to work collaboratively, and I still do, with my colleagues and other stakeholders to deliver practical solutions. So I wanted to be able to demonstrate that San Carlos was in fact a welcoming and inclusive community, and one in which everyone not only feels safe, but they belong, that they have agency and an opportunity to contribute to what that community looks like and becomes. So one of my first acts as mayor was to ask our council members, my colleagues, if they would think about including the word inclusivity in our mission statement.
Excellent.
And yes. I noted that was not there. Luckily, they readily agreed. And more recently, we adopted a new mission statement that not only includes that concept, but also the concept of equity. One of my first acts as mayor was to raise the council pride, to raise the pride flag.
I was going to mention that, that was one of the first things that you did that was notable and noticeable to all of the community. When that was raised, everybody gave out a big cheer. That was wonderful.
Yes. So that was in 2019. And I'm really proud to tell you that in 2021, all cities and towns in San Mateo County have now raised the pride flag.
Yes. Isn't that great? Let's see, you got the ball rolling. Thank you for that. Thank you so very, very much. And it seems so simple as something as a flag, but it shows as you drive by, you see a flag. And I notice that when I go around the neighborhood and during Pride Month, and I'll see a rainbow flag here and there in the homes. And it puts a smile on my face, and it makes me think, yes, people are being inclusive and understanding and not just tolerant. I can tolerate a toothache, but I want to be accepted. I want to have that acceptance and that understanding. And that's exactly what that pride flag represents with that raising up at their City Hall. Thank you so much for that. That was absolutely wonderful. You have, well, we talked about shared concerns is one of your taglines about being mayor, as well as listening and leading. Okay. Have you been working with the LGBTQ seniors as a senior How about the LGBTQ senior community? Do you have concerns like for affordable housing and things of that nature? Do you have anything in the works for that, for instance?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for that question. So again, there's many challenges that face our community. You talk about access to affordable housing, access to childcare. Climate change is impacting all of us in many ways. In addition, we've talked about the importance of equity and inclusion. From our senior community. So one of the things that makes San Carlos, I think, really unique and special is that there's a place for everyone here, regardless of where you are on your life's journey. And our program for seniors, I think, is really exceptional. And I was approached this year by Supervisor David Canepa's office to see if we would be interested in engaging in seeking certification for what's called age-friendly cities. This is an initiative that's born out of the World Health Organization, and AARP is rolling this out across the country. As soon as I heard that there was that opportunity for us to engage our senior community in discussions and find out what was important to them, what were their needs, how could we take existing programming and curate it in such a way that they would have access to it. And so right now we've kicked that off. I'm the first mayor of this type of program in our community to form a subcommittee on this. So we'll have a dedicated focus of council moving into 2022 after we get this going. And one of the outreach groups that we're going to be talking to are members of the LGBTQ plus community. So there'll be a focus group coming up, and I'm anxious to hear their inputs and learn how we can support that community as we move forward.
Just as a tagline of a little side remark about that is that San Carlos has a wonderful adult community center, which offers a variety of activities and resources for our adult community. So that's a great thing. They also have a youth, and on the other hand, there's also a youth committee as well, a youth center, and I think that is absolutely wonderful that San Carlos is including all the spectrum of the people who live here. And you're quite right; it is very inclusive and means a great deal to all of us residents who live here. So thank you once again. Well, you're doing so well. Atta girl.
Thank you.
I'm going to give you a lot of high fives.
Yeah, thank you, Roberta.
Well, it means a lot to me, and it means a lot to see a woman in this position and a lesbian in this position. It means a great deal. It shows a great deal to our community. And as the first one, wow, that must have been something amazing.
Yes. Well, so to that point, Ken Yeager, who served on city council in San Jose for many years and more recently as supervisor of Santa Clara County, has been a mentor to me. And, he was the one that actually inspired me to consider raising the pride flag here in San Carlos. And he shared with me that through his look at the historical profiles of various councils, I'm actually the first out lesbian in all of Silicon Valley. In 2021, it strikes me that that's a little late. I feel like I'm a little late to the party to serve, have that distinction, but I expect that more people will follow. So I don't want to just be the first and last. I want to make sure that everyone knows that they have an opportunity to serve their community in this capacity. So it's important. It's important that our governing boards are reflective of the broader community. So.
And I think it's also great that you make a point to know that it's not just an LGBTQ agenda that you have on your mind. It is inclusive of the whole community. You spoke about climate change, about housing, affordable housing, about childcare. We also spoke just now about senior concerns. I think you go across the whole board of the spectrum of the population here in San Carlos. And it is a varied population we have here, isn't it?
Yes, and that's, I think, really important. To your point, in my view, the job is to represent all of the people in the community, not just a select few. And that can be difficult sometimes because there are many that are outspoken, and at the same time, there are many who, for whatever reason, cannot participate in the process, but who make their needs known in other ways. And so that active listening is also, listening to the silent majority who maybe don't have access and cannot participate. We need everybody in order to create a resilient and sustainable community. And I want everyone to live a rewarding life.
Okay, that's excellent and very good. And that's, again, I think it has the City of Good Living. Didn't get that name for naught.
Yeah.
And thank you for the work that you do on behalf of the LGBTQ community, but also on behalf of the community and here in the peninsula. Now, having said that, what you're doing now, what have you got planned for the future? You've got some plans, don't you?
Yeah, thank you, Roberta. So to your point, I think what you might be getting at is the fact that I've announced my candidacy for San Mateo County Supervisor, District 3. Don Horsley will be terming out of after 30 very decades-long career in public service. Wow. And as I mentioned, a lot of the issues that we're working right now on in San Carlos, and I've driven in much of that agenda, is really regional in nature. And so I see the county supervisor seat as an opportunity to increase the scope and impact of the work. And I'm committed to building a coalition of welcoming inclusivity. And anybody who wants to join Team Laura, I'd love to have them on the team.
Terrific. Well, we have our best wishes and good luck for that future endeavor. And I think it's just going to be a plus for all of the community and all of the peninsula. That's terrific. Thank you. And it looks like you've got some great ideas to move forward. So thank you very much for all you do. Thank you for your time today. We really very much appreciate it. And we hope to hear some more from you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, right. Roberta. I really appreciate it.
You betcha.
Okay.
I'm Freddie Smith, and you're watching Outlook Video.
Really big thanks to everybody at the Rainbow Collective and to Avenidas. And I love what you're doing. And I love what this conference means to so many of us. So what a treat to be with all of you today. I want to talk about Let's Get Physical. It was a great song. I used to dance to it. And we're going to talk about sex and aging really in the LGBTQ elder community. So hopefully I'll give you some ideas today, some tips, and also some research. And given that sex is a taboo topic to begin with, and that sex among old people is frowned upon, what about sex among older people who also consider ourselves LGBTQ? Because when we get to that level, let's just say there aren't that many people talking about it at all. So why do I talk about it? Well, because of two things. One is because I started doing this work late in life. I got my PhD at the age of 62. And I was searching for research topics. And I realized I really wanted to do my research about my community because I consider myself and have been out as a out and proud lesbian for over 45 years. Wow, that's a long time. So it was a no-brainer when I started doing my research. I wanted to learn about my people. And no one else was talking about sex and old people who also were LGBTQ. So I figured it's perfect for me. And I love talking about taboo topics. I teach elders about sex for a living, and especially I love to teach LGBTQ elders. LGBTQ elders are getting sexy. But I have to say, whether you're a lesbian or you're gay or you're bi or you're trans or you're queer or you're just thinking about it or you work with someone older who's thinking about themselves or starting to come out as LGBTQ, these elders are getting sexy. And if not in their bodies, they're thinking about it because they may be thinking about their sexy past or wondering if it's going to be in their future. Now, sex at a later age. Why do we need to know about what it takes? Well, here's what we need to know about what it takes to have a long and lovely sexual life as an LGBTQ elder, or really as any elder. Everyone seems to be thinking that older people just don't have sex, period. It's just not true. In a meta-analysis of all the research on old people having sex, researchers found that the 3 keys to a satisfying sexual life are good physical and mental health, access to a partner, or I said, or partners, and having positive attitudes about sex. But we have so many things to worry about that get in the way of those three key indicators. You know, those problems they say that lesbians have with the U-Haul on the second date. Have you ever heard that one? Or the thing about gay men only wanting to hook up and never settle down. Or that bisexuals just don't know who they really want and they're all the cause of all of our problems. Or that there are no trans people who are elders. These are all myths, and we need to replace them with some positives. In my own research on LGBTQ elders ages 60 to 75, I found that resilience was a big factor, that low internalized homophobia and high relationship satisfaction are all associated with sexual satisfaction. In fact, relationships were a predictor of sexual satisfaction. And if I asked you what you thought about LGBTQ elders' resilience, what would you say? Would you say it's high, medium, low? It's very high. And it speaks to a theory I have about our collective resilience because we've been through so much. And so I'd like to give you a little bit more information about what's going on in the research. There's a picture of me. I love this one because it's at Catholic University in Washington, D.C. And I just love that they paid me to come talk about sex there. Well, the first thing I want to tell you is that Santos Iglesias and colleagues found that sexual well-being is an integral part of overall health in later life for many older adults. And in the U.S. National Poll on Health and Aging, Milani and Solway found that over 75% of those surveyed between the ages of 65 and 80 reported that sex is important at any age. And over half of them, 54%, reported that sex enhances their overall quality of life. Additionally, 65% of the respondents reported being interested in sex, and 40% said they were currently sexually active. Now, what's interesting about this next bit of research from Harris and Orth, they just published this last year. They found that at all stages of adulthood, engaging in intimate relationships or sexual relationships is associated with three important things: positive self-esteem, self-regard, and sexual identity. And what's great about that is it really debunks this whole idea that we can't even think about a positive reason why people would want to be having sex at a later age. Maggie Syme and her colleagues have really done a very important service talking about this idea of the narrative of sexual dysfunction, or what I call problematizing sexual activities. And they're talking about how we must overturn the narrative that as we age, our entire sexual life is characterized basically by problems that we have no chance, that are inevitable, that we have no chance to make better. And what they found was that older adults conceptualize sexual wellness in rich, multidimensional terms, and they recognize the strengths and the limitations that characterize sexual expression in later life. So instead of pathologizing LGBTQ elders having sex or not having sex or having a sexual fantasy life, let's salute them as no one has in the past. Because as Lucy Fielding, who's a colleague of mine, just published in her book, she's a late 40s trans woman who says that there are types of erotic privilege that are afforded only to certain bodies. And what she found is that unless you're cisgender and heterosexual, white, able-bodied, thin, tall, and between this very narrow age group of 18 to 35, well, you don't have what Lucy calls erotic privilege. And the elders who you are or work with, or the elders that you may know, may embody a few of these already. Certainly the first one and the last one, if they're not heterosexual and they're not 18 to 35. And what if they're a person of color? or if they're disabled, or if they're fat or short. You get the picture that many of the people in our LGBTQ elders community are seen as not enough of or not correct. So, what can you do to make sure you have a fun and positive sexual life as an LGBTQ elder? Or maybe if you're working with LGBTQ elders, what are some of the things that you can do yourself or you can do in your own work? Well, make sure you stay healthy in body, in mind, and in spirit. Keep active. And when you have a choice, move. Just keep moving, because what you need to do is stay healthy in your body and your mind and your spirit. The second tip I can give you is make sure you have access to a partner or partners. Now, that partner could be your own person. And I believe in solo sex or masturbation as not just an interim, something you do in between, but actually something that can be life-giving and life-rewarding. And you can be your very best partner. But it's easier said than done, right? Especially during a pandemic with the loss of public spaces to meet other people if you're interested in sex with others. Well, first of all, look how many lesbian bars we've lost. But also, look how hard it's been during the pandemic to get out and about and meet someone new. So maybe try something new. Maybe I know there's this amazing group on the net for women called Women on the Net. And maybe there are some ways that you can find that you can begin to have access to other people who you might want to be intimate or sexual with. And my third tip is stay sex positive. So listen, folks, if you're single and you've been single for a long time, or if you just became single because your partner just died, or you've recently broken up with someone and you want to find someone new, find something to do that interests you and go do it. You'll invariably meet people there who at least have that in common with you. And don't give up. And I'm not talking about inviting strangers to dinner. I'm talking about going to do something with people who have a common interest. And maybe that might give you a chance to meet somebody who you can possibly find a friendship with, or even better, have a relationship with. I have hope for you. And if you're in a relationship and you haven't had sex for a while or a long time, start talking with your partner, not in a judgmental way. No guilt here, no shame, just that you may want to try it again and try it differently now because we're older now. Maybe start really small. Maybe ask them if they want a foot massage or a playful dress up night. Now, butches, this may be difficult, but you can do it. Or maybe even a night where instead of turning on the television to watch people baking, you read something sexy together, or even better, try something with food that you do on your own bodies that you can kind of get hot and sexy over. The possibilities are endless. But you got to have fun, because all the sex researchers say to bring back sexual pleasure in a relationship where you haven't been sexual in a while, it's got to be fun. So think about what you two enjoy and start doing it. Laughter is curative, and sex as an older person can be downright awkward. So remember to laugh. I have hope for you staying sex positive. Sex is a human right. You have the right to a long and lovely sexual life. All of us do. No matter who you are or what you've been through, whether there's Mandy Carter, a Black lesbian who's been an activist for over 50 years, or lesbians like Edie Daly and Jackie Merkin, who met in their 60s, fell in love, and Jackie's 90 today. Jackie's on the right. Edie's in her mid 80s. And they said that the sex they had when they met in their 60s was the best sex they've ever had in their entire lives. Or maybe you're a leader in the leather community like Hardy Haberman, who says guys in leather still look good as they age. or the late Carmen Vasquez, a Puerto Rican butch lesbian who fought bravely, not only for sexual human rights, but against COVID, who lost that fight earlier this year. Whoever you are, remember that you have the right to a full and exciting sexual life as you age as an LGBTQ elder. So I'll stop there. There's a photo of the cover of my book, and that's how you'd get in touch with me. Say you have a question that you may not want to ask in front of folks today at the conference, but you have another question. Just go on my website and there's a place where you can leave a question for me, and I get back to people within 24 hours. So if it's something that's really burning, feel free to know that I'll get back to you right away.
We love to get mail from you. Email us at comments@outlookvideo.org.
To contact us by phone, call 408-293-3040, extension 205.
Visit our website at outlookvideo.org.
Subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/outlookvideo.
And connect with us at facebook.com/outlookvideo.
What people see as an oil slick, I see as a rainbow. And however the rainbow shows up for you is how it shows up. And to honor that and to be in that and to love it and write about it and talk about it and discover more of it. And I have found during COVID, even though I've been here protecting the building, getting creative about what do we want when we open up, this is part of what we want. You. Yes. And we actually got it. In those empty moments, you know, I'm going, I am growing and changing. And when I'm by myself, I sometimes don't know how it is until I am with you, another human, and I can see the growth and the changes that have manifested during COVID. And so let's discover what that is. Maybe we want to do solstice, Kwanzaa. Maybe we want to do a Day of the Dead display next week along with Halloween. Maybe we want to do Hanukkah. Maybe we want to do it all. And if anyone has the energy, let's do it together and discover what has been growing in us for the last 18 months that we don't even know about. So thank you.